get out of this bathroom, turn over to the flight attendant and said him, I was poisoned, I'm gonna die. And then I lay down under his feet and to die.
You knew in that moment that you'd been poisoned?
Yes.
Quick thinking from the pilot saves his life. Instead of flying on to Moscow, still 3 hours away, the plane diverts to Omsk. 2 days later, Navalny is flown to Berlin, where the German government announces he has been poisoned with the nerve agent Novichok. Now an exclusive investigation can reveal a top-secret mission tracking Navalny, involving experts in chemical weapons who work for the FSB, the Russian successor to the Soviet KGB. This nondescript building on the outskirts of Moscow was the headquarters of the operation.
We're staying in the car because we don't want to attract any attention, but this compound is part of the Institute of Criminalistics of the FSB, Russia's security service. And beyond that fence, an elite team of operatives has been tracking Navalny's every move for more than 3 years.
CNN has examined hundreds of pages of phone records and flight manifests that reveal the backgrounds, communications, and travel of the group. The documents were obtained by online investigative outlet Bellingcat, which 2 years ago identified the Russian military intelligence agents allegedly sent to England to poison former Russian spy Sergei Skripal. The FSB toxins team was activated in 2017, just days after Navalny announced he would run for president in the election the next year. The team's leader, Stanislav Makshakov, an expert in chemical weapons. Several of the team are doctors, but they weren't recruited to save lives.
I just wanted to show you some photographs here and ask you if you recognize, if you've ever seen any of the men in those photographs.
No.
You don't recognize them?
I don't recognize any of them.
Would it surprise you to learn that some of these men went on more than 30 trips with you over the course of 3 years?
This is absolutely terrifying. I don't know if terrifying is a good word.
I think it's a pretty good word.
Yes, but well, I understand how system work in Russia. I understand that that Putin hates me, and I understand that these people who are sitting in the Kremlin, they are ready to kill.
Is it your contention that Vladimir Putin must have been aware of this?
Of course, 100%. It could have not been happened without direct order of Putin, because it's well, it's big scale.
In the weeks before he was poisoned, Navalny and his wife Yulia took a short vacation to a resort in Kaliningrad. Our investigation has uncovered that the FSB team followed. According to Bellingcat, the security cameras inside the hotel were mysteriously turned off while they were there. Navalny says Yulia felt uncomfortable. She took videos and photos of men she believed were following them. This man I also don't recognize, she says. Hours after the FSB's toxins team left Kaliningrad, Yulia suddenly felt sick.
She said, well, I feel really, really bad. Do you need ambulance? No. Do you have something? Is it heart? No. Is it stomach? No. Is it head? No. Could you describe it? No. And then we approached restaurant, and she said, well, I feel like worse in my life. I never felt it before, but unfortunately, and of course I couldn't connect these dots. Now I realize how bad she was.
Yulia recovered, but the FSB unit was apparently not done with the Navalnys.
In the days after Kaliningrad, cell phone data shows that several senior FSB officials were in regular contact with a lab in this compound. It's called the Signal Institute, and CNN and Bellingcat have established that it has been involved with researching and developing Novichok.
In mid-August, Navalny and his team traveled to Siberia. At least 5 members of the FSB unit make the same journey on different flights. In Tomsk, Navalny and his colleagues stay at the Xander Hotel. We traveled to the Siberian city to retrace his steps on the night he was poisoned.
So this is the room that Alexey Navalny was staying in, and it looks like my room here is right next door.
According to Navalny, he went to bed at around midnight after drinking a cocktail with his team. The FSB's toxins unit was not far away.
Using a ping from a cell phone, we've been able to place one of the FSB operatives in this area, just blocks from the Xander Hotel on the night of August 19th, the night that the nerve agent Novichok made its way into room 239.
Navalny left the hotel early the next morning. He boarded the Moscow flight feeling fine. 3 hours later, he was close to death. Back in Tomsk, Navalny's team frantically collect any evidence they can from his hotel room, including water and shampoo bottles, a toothbrush, and a towel. As they did, there was a surge in communications among the FSB unit and their bosses. If it was expected that Navalny would die on the flight, they were now scrambling to deal with a very different situation. After much back and forth, Russian authorities allow Navalny to be transported to Berlin. What they don't know is that the items recovered from his Tomsk hotel room were also on board. Some later tested positive for Novichok. Back in Moscow, we went in search of the FSB's toxins team.
So we're here now at the home of one of the FSB team, and we're going to go see if he has anything to say to us.
We enter a rundown apartment building on the outskirts of Moscow, where operative Oleg Tayakin lives.
Здравствуйте, Олег Борисович, да? Меня зовут Clarissa Ward. Я работаю в CNN. My name's Clarissa Ward. I work for CNN. Can I ask you a couple of questions? Можно вам спрашивать, это ваша команда отравила Навальный? Was it your team that poisoned Navalny, please? Do you have any comment? He doesn't seem to want to talk to us.
Toxicologists tell CNN that Navalny is incredibly lucky to be alive and that the intention was undoubtedly to kill him.
So you've said that you want to go back to Russia.
And I will do.
You're aware of the risks of going back.
Yes, but I'm a Russian politician, and even when I was not just in hospital, I was in intense therapy. And I said publicly I will go back, and I will go back because I'm a Russian politician, I belong to this country, and definitely, which I especially now, when this actually crime is cracked open, revealed, I understand the whole operation, I would never give Putin such a gift.
CNN has not established that the FSB toxins team were, in fact, the individuals who actually poisoned Navalny. We have, of course, reached out for comment from the Kremlin, also the FSB, who told us we might be able to expect a response in 9 days. We also reached out to members of the team, as you saw in our report, but so far we have not heard anything back. And it should come as no surprise that Russian officials have not yet opened any criminal investigation into the poisoning of Alexey Navalny.
Alexey Navalny, welcome to the program. I just want to say, you know, listening to that terrible tape on the, I guess, the iPhone of you screaming in anguish on that plane is very difficult to hear. And I guess I want to know how you're feeling. Are you fully recovered? What is your state of health right now?
Hello, Christian. I'm very happy to be at your show, and I really want to start with saying thank you very much to CNN for this amazing job with this investigation. This moment yesterday when Clarice tried to burst into the door and confront Oleg Tayakin, who was the coordinator of this killing team, was amazing. Both actually hilarious, but we should remember this guy was a cold-blood murderer. He's a dangerous guy. I feel much better right now, and I feel better because yesterday it was this revealing investigation, and despite we all actually understand how sausage was made. Still, when you look at the whole system, the whole Kremlin and FSB infrastructure of killing, it is terrifying.
Gosh, when I hear you say how the sausage is made, there's a real air of unreality, and I want to get into that. You're absolutely right. It was an incredible report, the investigation, the results, trying to get through that door. And so I just want to ask you, you want to go back to Russia. You know that this situation hasn't been, there's no criminal investigation, there's no acceptance that obviously they deny, certainly Putin denies, that any such thing happened. Why do you want to go back? And I guess, do you think you'll be safe when you go back?
Well, I don't think that I can have such a privilege being safe in Russia, but I have to go back because I don't want these, groups of killers exist in Russia. I don't want Putin be ruling of Russia. I don't want him being president. I don't want him being czar of Russia because, well, he's killing people. He's the reason why the whole country is degrading. He's the reason why people are so poor. We have 25 million people living below the poverty line, and the whole degradation of system, fortunately for me, including system of assassination of people, he's the reason of that. And I want to go back and try to change it.
So the heart of the report, which was extraordinary, they discovered that a number of FSB personnel had been tracking your family for about 3 years, since about 2017, including
almost 4
years. Yeah. And it's believed that even your wife, Yulia, was potentially targeted. The report shows how she felt very unwell when you were both away for a while. So are you absolutely confident that these people, I mean, there's no evidence, or at least we're told that they can't back up, thinking that these people who followed you actually were the ones who poisoned you? What do you think about that? Who do you think did it?
Well, I'm sure 100% because I followed this investigation within a month. We were part of this investigation. We checked all data and we did part of this job. So all evidence just shows us that this was a system and actually the whole department of FSB who was involved in this daily routine of following me, of preparing the action and waiting for the order. And we know how FSB work, and so the operation of such skill and for such a long time cannot exist without ruling of the chief of FSB, Mr. Bortnikov, and he would never dare it without direct order of President Putin. So I'm 100% sure that when it was a Putin who made this order right after I declared that I'm running for office. I was going for presidency back in the 2016, and then this team was created, and they are following me within 4 years, and they did several attempts of murder, and I'm totally sure that Putin was aware, and he got reports during this job.
Mm-hmm. Well, of course, the reporters have tried to get comment from Putin, from his spokespeople, and they haven't responded yet. But as you know, President Putin and the Kremlin denied any involvement back when it was clear that you had been poisoned, and says that if you were poisoned with Novichok, it happened once you left Russian territory. I know what you think. But here's the thing, the Wall Street Journal has said in the past that the man Vladimir Putin fears most is Alexey Navalny. And he doesn't talk about you. He doesn't say your name. How much longer do you think that they can keep this up? Because even before the report came out yesterday, CNN and Bellingcat, you had the German authorities who immediately investigated from the elements that were taken from your hotel to Germany with you in that plane. And they said that it was, highly possible and probable that it was, Kremlin orchestrated, or at least by the intelligence services there.
Well, what do you expect from him? His confession, his public confession, like in the movies, like, guys, I did it, I'm very sorry, I would never do it again. Definitely, I'm not the first one, and unfortunately, I will be not the last one who was poisoned or killed, because they are practicing it. Putin consider this opportunity to murder people as a sort of soft power, and the situation where they are keeping silence right now, it's kind of speaking very well about what's going on, because even Putin's press secretary, he canceled his daily briefings because they have nothing to say so far. Right now they are developing their own story, and I think Putin tomorrow, or maybe in a couple of days, will publicly say something about it. Also, of course, trying not to mention my name, but it's a failure. It's his personal failure. That's why it's so painful for him. And they will continue to deny despite all evidence against them, because they don't have other chances.
I wonder if you hope that this really public reporting now that is trying to connect the dots, and has done to an extent, will lead to further international reaction. Of course, we know that the EU in August, when you were first poisoned, put sanctions on key members of the FSB, and wonder what you hope that, because the US didn't, and I wonder what you hope a Biden administration will do. President-elect Biden has said the mode of attack leaves no doubt as to where the responsibility lies, the Russian state. As president, I will do what Donald Trump refuses to do, work with our allies and partners to hold the Putin regime accountable for its crimes. What do you think needs to be done?
Well, first of all, I need very clear message from the President of the United States. Not just me. I think it's not about me. It's about using chemical weapon against civilians for killing political opponents. And honestly, a reaction from Donald Trump was very disappointing, because the only words he said, it was, "Let's talk about this later." And I think it's actually not enough, because this later never came. I think the President of the United States should say something very clear, and his message was supposed to be very clear about that it's absolutely impossible and non-affordable for the whole world to have someone who's using chemical weapon and developing chemical weapon and using it in a such reckless and very dangerous way. Because, well, if you stand on this way killing people, it's very difficult to get away, because it's a very powerful tool and very seductive tool. And I think this situation with me will continue with the following investigation, and we will see that actually quite a lot of people were killed in Russia and maybe abroad in this way.
Well, I need to point out, obviously, that Litvinenko was poisoned by polonium, the Skripals, as we know, by Novichok. They survived. They all accused the Kremlin, which, of course, denies it. But nonetheless, this has happened abroad, and Litvinenko was, in fact, killed.
And where you are.